Hey, so this is a video about toxic relationships. I mean, it very much fits in with some of the last videos that I made, certainly the one about relationships, um, and then the one about love, because sometimes that word love gets used in relationships. So, excuse me. So basically, this is a super touchy subject. I mean, I have found. So this video is because I had an experience yesterday, which was for myself challenging, very challenging. It really pushed me to my limits. Yeah, and so I would just say that, you know, that's why I'm really glad that I have this channel, because it gives me somewhere where I can talk about this kind of stuff. Because even though I have some friends, I mean, not really, I don't really have anybody in my life that I'm close to. So, like, who I can speak openly with, that, wouldn't take what I'm saying the wrong way, or take it, because it pushes certain, not boundaries or buttons, but it like, the thing is with relationships, and you start talking about it, and I don't know, because we're all in them and stuff like that, it can become very real, right? I mean, and it can be taken personally, and it's, yeah, how do I say it? I don't want to, when I'm having a conversation, which is a heart to heart, which is like what this is, I don't, it doesn't help to be in a place where, for myself, where I don't, where I have to pull my punches. Not that it's a fight, but I need to be able to just express myself, to speak frankly for what it's worth, right? Um, without sugarcoating things, and without, candy coating, without beating around the bush, is what it's called. And so, yeah, anyways, so that's the warning. I mean, it's triggering, but I think that it all happened for a reason. So anyways, basically what happened is that I made this video about love, and it was a big accomplishment for me, because it's something that I've been working on for a long time, and it's like, I know I got to make a video about this, but then actually sitting down and doing it, being at the right place and in my life to be where it's like, okay, I'm going to make this video. I'm ready for this. And yeah, and I didn't even have to prepare much. I mean, I prepared for all of a minute, I think, is what it took to gather the materials that I needed just to make the video, because I don't like the idea of writing transcripts anymore. I like to just speak from my heart and just trust, have faith, I suppose, that that's enough. Whatever I say will be sufficient, whether I hit every nail on the head, tick every box, like whatever. Sometimes I miss stuff, too bad, And I know that when I finished that video, there was a little something, but anyways. And so what happened is, I was feeling really good about myself. I was having it was an accomplishment for myself, and I'm feeling really great right now. I am on a raw food diet that just changed my game. My body is super healthy right now. I actually put myself into a full lotus position, pain-free, and held it for a period of time today, which is something that I've never done. I was just getting into Siddhasana, which is half lotus, and just noticed my foot going in one direction, and then I picked up the other one, and I was like, holy cow, what is going on here? And I just placed it on the other side, and all of a sudden I was sitting inside of a pose that I've never been able to do, and I wasn't even trying, and I hadn't been practicing. So it was awesome. I'm doing really well for myself. I am on top of all of my game, essentially. Anything that in my life that used to be holding me back or bogging me down, I have, aside from work, like the repetitive movements that come from having to work a labor job, like I install hardwood floors in people's houses, and that's not the best. I am certainly excited about a time when I'll just be able to do things that are more in my heart, things that I that are a pleasure to do, as opposed to repetitive movements and stuff like that. So yeah, I'm doing really well. It couldn't be better. And so I go to work, and I'm working away doing this floor. And so we don't always do hardwood. Sometimes we do these other boards. They're called laminate. It just means because they're like laminated, but they're just boards that go in. You kind of snap them together. Sometimes you got to tap them together, and sometimes we do this stuff vinyl click. It's very similar, but this time it was glue down. And so I work with a man who is in his 70s, and he has a host of health problems, and so he really needs somebody like myself, younger, and who has energy and strength, who is able to help carry some of these jobs through from start to finish. And so that is my role, and it's what I do. And I was working away, and the thing is, like, this stuff that this glue, it's thick, like really thick, like I don't know, it's really thick anyways, and you have to trowel it on all day, or I have to trowel it on the floor all day, just nonstop. I have to use both arms, and depending on what it's going on top of, the substrate. So right now it's going on top of this wood, and so the trowel digs in even more. And so basically what I have to do is hold the trowel with both hands so that and then pull straight so that I don't wear out my arms. And then it's a straight push like that, because you can develop tennis elbow, you'll wear out your shoulders if you're like, because it's just too much for myself. And I'm pretty strong, right? I mean, like, I just completed a yoga teacher training. I'm going to start another one next month. I mean, like, I'm in peak physical condition as far as me, like in my life. This is as healthy as I've ever been, because I got the diet dialed in, and I have this yoga practice and strength training and stuff like that. So it's like, I'm in great shape. And so I'm working away. Then he finishes something else that he was working on, and then he comes over, and all of a sudden we're working on top of each other. So I start doing something else. And then he's like, no, don't do that, do this. And then I did one thing, but then we're on top of each other again. And I was like, okay, I mean, there's nothing for me to do. I literally can't do anything. And then I start working on something else, and he's like, what's wrong with you? And I was like, excuse me? And like, this is my boss, right? This is somebody, I live with this person. And I thought this person was my friend too, right? And he said, what's wrong with you? And I was like, nothing. I'm just working away. I mean, I just troweling and stuff like that and putting in the boards. He's like, you're slow. I was like, okay. I was taken back. I was just shocked, because I was working hard as far as I was concerned. And so he's like, yeah, you're lethargic today, and I was like, are you saying I'm not working hard enough? And he's like, yeah. And I said, okay. Like, I was just flabbergasted. I didn't know what to say, because, like, you have this old man telling me that I'm not performing, that I'm not working hard enough. And it's like, this, when you're troweling glue, it is a particularly labor intensive job. I sweat. I drink about a gallon of water a day because yeah, I'm really working. It's really hard. I mean, and then, so he never even touched the trowel once. I don't even think to move it. I mean, so I am like working twice as hard as he is. And, he wasn't feeling good a couple of days. So he had to go home 2 days in a row because he was feeling dizzy. He's on all kinds of medications, and I think he's got a pacemaker, and he's just got, yeah, everything. Like, he's like very not doing well health wise, all kinds of stuff. And so, because he took this time off, I took it upon myself to work like 10, 11-hour days every day to pull through, to make sure that we wouldn't fall behind, so that he wouldn't worry about it. And then, and he never said anything about the work that got done, just, I guess, assumed that it just was work. And then handed me my hat, or no, it's not the phrase, but like, told me that I wasn't doing good enough the next day. And this was on Monday, and I was just, I was hurt. It took days to get over this. I mean, I'm basically there now, but I really needed to unpack the whole thing, because, like, when somebody treats you, like, when you're bending over backwards to be of service to someone, when you're like, going the extra mile to to help out, to be a good worker, and then the person who is in charge tells you that you're doing a bad job, it's disheartening. Another word is like demoralizing. Like, was I dragging my butt? No, I don't ever. I mean, he even said, he's like, oh, you say you always work, you always give your best. He's like, you're not giving your best right now. And I was just so taken back by what was said to me. I was speechless. I was at a loss for words. I didn't say anything. And then eventually he left. And so on this job site, there is somebody else that I know, that I've known for many years, that I can talk to somewhat, right? And clearly, because I was going through some things, my feelings were hurt, right? Just to say it, and so I needed somebody to talk to. And I explained the situation to this person. I said, this is what happened. This is what it looks like from my perspective. I mean, and it was challenging, because it's like, okay, well, what do I do with this? Because at the end of the day, I made these videos that I just made this video about unconditional love, right? And so unconditional, which is supposed to be this this ability to, it has to do with compassion, right? So to look beyond certain people's behavior. Like, some people do have bad days and they take it out on each other. That's just, they don't really know any better, or that's how they were raised. Not everybody has perfect, manners, etiquette, and that kind of stuff, right? So it's like, I'm trying to not take it personal, but it was challenging for me to know, okay, so what is the best way to approach this scenario? Because there is, of course, a part of me that wants to just spell out my side of the story, be like, well, this and this and this and this, and then hope for an apology, or hopefully not a retaliation, or, that maybe this person would hear where I was coming from, and like it'd be okay, right? But I wasn't sure, you know. And I came up with this idea. I was like, okay, I said to my buddy, I was like, I think I just need to, I think I need to just say, this is what it is. It's like, yeah, I pulled through for us, and it's like, and I'm working the hardest part of the job. Of course, it's easy if you're not, any job is easy if somebody else is doing the hardest part of the job for you. That's pretty understandable, right? And so, there was a part of me that wanted to go that route, but then we got to talk and stuff like that over lunch, and it was like, at the end of the day, I can't remember exactly how it came about, but he said something to do with, you could just let it go. And then it dawned on me, because part of the language of the heart is to do with letting go. It has to do with acceptance, surrender, letting go, faith. Those are words and things like that are associated with the heart, and being a heart-based person, where you're able to not have to not take things personally, and not need to get, not need something, right, to make it right, or whatever, to do something, or to be right, or to let somebody else know that they're wrong, right? And so this was but he said that to me, and I was like, yeah, I can't deny this idea that letting go is certainly a way of the heart. And so I sat on that for a bit, and but then, like, the reason I'm sharing this is because there's so many angles to it. So the next piece is that it's like, okay, but hold on a second. When I think about that video that I made about friends and friendship, it's like, okay, what was the definition of what was the definition of a friendship? I mean, and it was a friendship is about reflecting things to each other, right? So then I was like, okay, hold on a second. So that's true. I mean, like, if this person is, for friends, then I should probably let this person know how what they said affected me. This is what came as a result of what they said, and like, and then hopefully that's like when you have a heart to heart and you say, hey, because maybe he was having a bad day, maybe something, you never know what's going on with somebody on the inside. I mean, you never know, right? There could be any amount of things going on. And so I thought, yeah, and that's true, where it's like, if you, like that's what a friend does. Like, what use is a friend if they won't give you the benefit of the doubt that, they didn't really mean to transgress, to trespass against you, and like, they're not trying to hurt your feelings. It was just something that came up, and it seemed like the right thing to say, or it seemed legitimate at the time. And so and anyway, the point is like, what good are your friends if they're not going to help you point out your blind spots? Because we all make boo-boos sometimes. We muck up. We overstep our bounds. We do things, and it's in general not personal, right? I mean, and so probably, right? And so I thought, okay, well, maybe I should say something, right? Because on that logic, it's, how is somebody supposed to improve their behavior if nobody tells them how their behavior is affecting other people, right? So that's a part of being a good friend, I suppose, right? So all of a sudden I went two ways with this. One side is telling me just let it go, just drop the whole thing, it doesn't matter. Another side's telling me no, it's very important. I mean, it's part of being a friend. And so, like, I came in the morning today, and I saw my friend there, this person that I have known for a while and talked to sometimes, right? And it was just the two of us, and I told him what I just told you about this thing about friends and how it's important that we give each other feedback so that we don't just continue with behaviors that don't work for people. At least somebody said something, right? That's being a good friend. And so I told him that, and he didn't really say much. I mean, and then I don't know. We got to talking about some other things, and so this house that we're building, apparently, it's for it's one of his children's friends is going to live in this house, right? And he said he's like, oh yeah, he's a really good kid. This kid, and he's like yeah, him and his son, they have a good relationship where they they bug each other and make fun of each other. And he's like, this kid, he's really sharp, he's really quick. And I said to him, I was like, it's interesting, because I said, just so you know, that's not the way. I mean, that's not the spiritual way for sure. To be sharp, because sharp is cutting, to have this thing where to have, it's like, what is a relationship about? It's about bugging each other. I don't like being bugged myself. I mean, I used to have relationships with guys where that was okay, and but they weren't, I compare it to relationships that I have with other people that are more holistic or heart-based. I mean, I vastly prefer just being friendly with people rather than always having to be on guard and having somebody making fun of you and people trying to be clever, people trying to be funny, trying to be cute, trying to be cool, any of that kind of stuff, right? And it's just like, it got me thinking that it's like, what are these relationships that we have based on, and are they healthy? And another piece of it is too was he said to me, he's like, he is married, and he doesn't get along with his mother-in-law all that well. And he said, sometimes when they're both lit up, like drunk, he's like, I'll always wait for her to say it first, and then she'll say, F you, da da da, and then they just start laying into each other. And he's like, but then we get it out, and then the next day, I'll see her, and it's like nothing happened, like nobody said a word. And I was like, just thinking about it, it's like, that's a toxic relationship. Like, how can you just like interact like that, where you just tell each other off and then act like nothing happened? And so I hadn't seen this person that essentially told me off, and I was like, okay, I guess I'm gonna have to deal with this. And I didn't know how it was gonna be. I was feeling pretty uncomfortable. I was in because I live with this person. I was like, well, I was feeling uncomfortable just being here. I all of a sudden don't feel welcome in this house anymore, and I felt like just I need to find a new job because this person doesn't doesn't care about me, doesn't, I don't know, I mean, to call a person out on something like that, I mean, like, to me, it was just, it was absurd because of who I am, because of my work ethic, because of the nature of the job, because of all of the efforts that I was putting in. It was just absolutely absurd. I was, like I said, I don't know if the word is aghast, but I was really taken back. But then in the morning when I saw this person, it was like nothing happened. You know, and all that stuff that I was going through internally, you know, I don't think they have any idea how it affected me, you know, because I kept it to myself, and just the way that the day worked out, I mean, I ended up just working by myself all the day, and you know, and then I started rethinking things, and it's like, because it was like, oh, so should I let it go or should I say something? And then once again, it's like, how do I handle this situation? Because like, I don't want to burn my bridges right now. I mean, I've burned so many bridges in my life. It's like I've made a career out of burning bridges. I mean, I never mean to, but I tell you, it has happened, and I can't deny that. So yeah, it's the end of the month, and I'm not ready to move out. I'm not ready to find a new job, and I thought everything was all good. I really did. You know, and so basically, what it came down to was that because of the situation, because of the fact that I'm so tied up with this person, it's just in my best interest to just keep my mouth shut. Just 100%, just keep my mouth shut, just say nothing, because at the end of the day, if I say one wrong thing, right, something that they don't prefer, then that's going to be my foot in my mouth, and I'm going to have to, yeah, I mean, this song came on today, it goes, it's like, 5 minutes can cost you a lot. I mean, and it's powerful. I mean, that concept, because I've had that song was special for me, because I've had other times where it's like, how does the rest of the song go? It goes 5 minutes, 5 seconds, 5 hours, 5 days can turn the simple and clear into a wandering maze. Oh no. It's by this guy, John Kennedy, anyways. I mean, him and somebody else, but, and so, you know, you got to be careful with what you say, because you can, in no time, you can find your whole world upside down and you out on your butt. And that's not what I want. And so I just had to swallow it all. But I still took time, I mean, because I was, for what it's worth, stewing about this. You know, I don't think that I was, you know, it's not like I was mad, but my way through stuff is to understand it. I am that kind of a person. Yeah. And so when I thought about it, about how did that take place, you know, what actually went on, and it's like, well, you know, for a person to treat another person like that, I was like, well, you know, I guess this person doesn't trust me, because if you did trust me that I was putting in my best effort, that whatever performance I was putting on, it was the best that I was capable of. I mean, like, you take a person into account instead of like summing them up, looking at them, analyzing them, breaking them down, and saying, oh, well, you're not good enough. You know, what you're doing is not sufficient. You're going to have to do better, right? And, you know, and so, yeah, I mean, it got me to thinking that it's just like, okay, well, this person clearly doesn't trust me. And it's like, you know, if they're willing to say things like that, it's like, I don't feel respected either, because, yeah, I feel like when you respect somebody, you give them the benefit of the doubt. You don't say like, just assume the worst about a person, like they're trying to take advantage of a situation. I mean, like, that's just, yeah. Yeah, assuming the worst about a person. That's just, it's challenging. And you know, it's something else that I've run into before. I ran into this with my father a long time ago when I was selling my condo, and he's just like, don't do it. And I was like, you know, it's hard when somebody's coming at you with things. And I, you know, at the end of the day, it came down to this phrase. I was like, don't you believe in me? You know, do you not believe that I'm capable of making choices in this life that are appropriate for who I am and what I'm doing? And it's just like, you know, it's a thing, for a person to not believe in another person. And you know, I guess what it came down to is that I realized, and this was a very sad moment for me. I was like, huh, you know, if this person doesn't trust me, if they don't respect me, if they don't if they don't believe in me, I mean, I don't think that this person, you know, cares about me. This person doesn't love me. This person isn't my friend. You know, and that's heartbreaking. Because, you know, when you realize sort of what you mean to a person, because I've said it before, I can be kind of naive. Because I am a reasonably friendly person, it's called projection, where you kind of assume that others are like you. And so it's like, I'm friendly and whatnot. It's like, I just kind of assume that everybody else just has everybody else's best interests at heart, that it's about service to others, and kindness and gentleness and maturity and like authenticity and being genuine, and on and on and on. But it's not the case. I mean, you know, it's not the case. And yeah, I mean, it was a really hard moment when you kind of see what you mean to somebody, you know, by their behaviors, by their words. I mean, like, by how they treat you. Like, when, you know, I never wanted to think about this stuff. I never wanted to analyze our relationship and like, you know, there's a song, what is it, by Nas and Damian Marley, on the Distant Relatives album, where he's like, no count in your homie's pocket who was the last to put out, like, who, you don't sit there and be like, oh, well, what are you doing? What, it's like, yeah, it's really frustrating, you know, to arrive at a place where it's like, wow, I'm not valued like I might think that I am. You know, it was hard because I was putting in superior efforts, you know, and maybe that's why I appeared to be slacking, right? But yeah, really, really, really hard. You know, I know another time when I had an experience like this, it was with my last girlfriend, and I realized, I was like, you know, I said to her, I was like, you know, I don't feel like you do any housework. It was like, I can't even remember any time that you have touched the vacuum or anything like that. It's like, I don't think that it's even what we're doing here. I was like, I think we should make a chart, and put it on the fridge. And she was just like, no. And I was like, I was really taken back. And it was in that moment that I realized that it's not meant to be equal. Some people feel for some reason that they have a superior position to you, and they take advantage of that. And that's where I find myself right now. Not exactly, right? But it's just crazy. Because, like partnerships, friendships, relationships, romantic relationships, they're supposed to be people working together towards a common cause, where you are supportive, where you trust the other person, where you have respect for the other person, you care about the other person, you don't assume the worst, you assume that the person is doing their best, and so now, it's put me in a funny position, because it's like I don't feel comfortable opening up to this person, because they showed me in no uncertain terms what they thought of me. Just called me out straight up, and it's just like, that was, to me, it was abrasive. And it's like, I'm not going to open up and just ask for more punishment, or possibly get involved in an ego battle, because I've been on the verge of that the whole time. And yeah, it's tough, because, so I was saying about like these relationships, it's supposed to be people working together, but then when somebody is not recognizing the contributions that you make, or they're not pulling their weight, or and certainly when people aren't communicating effectively, all of the energy that could be going towards getting something done, towards accomplishing something together, it can be used up in fighting one another and being frustrated with the other person, and the ego telling yourself that this other person is doing or isn't, I don't know, that this other person is, I don't know, not good enough, or whatever it is, right? Yeah. It was tricky, because it's like, for I think that for a person to come down on another person, you have to have a certain mentality. You have to be at a place where you feel justified in saying what you do, and I get the impression that involves a a low opinion of the other person. Because if you thought better of them, then you wouldn't talk to them like that. You wouldn't treat them in any way that's other than loving and kind, and in a helpful, mature, respectable manner. So yeah, and sad. I say sadly, but kind of sadly, is that that's been sort of the story of my life. It very much defines. It's relationships like this have come to define me as a person. I am very much defined by a lot of the things that I have gone through in my life, and certainly one of those has been to do with very challenging relationships. But I essentially accept it because I can recognize that it's just a part of who I am, you know, in order to be me, in order to come to certain realizations about stuff, in order to, really be able to understand things, I need to go through um, challenges, to go through, to go through certain types of hardship because I am strong enough to go through it, and I have enough perceptive faculty that I can take whatever has happened that I've been through and learn quite a great deal from it, and so that I can pass on the knowledge to other people. And so it's just, not looking for a shoulder to cry on at all. I'm very grateful for the way that my life has unfolded. As challenging as it's been, it's been everything that happens for myself has been crucial to my as a part of awakening to become more, I don't know, capable of handling situations in an appropriate manner, meaning mature, because it's just so easy to want to retaliate and to take things personally and to get bent out of shape, to let it get under your skin, make your blood boil, and then lash out. So it's funny that all of this happened as following that video about love, and it was an opportunity to see if I am the embodiment of my teachings, the teachings that I speak about, they're not mine, or if I'm a hypocrite, which is the word, for if you say to do one thing and then you just turn around and do the other thing. So it has been, I don't know, damn near a humbling experience to have to. I said to my buddy, I was like, "You're so lucky that you're not into all this spiritual stuff, and because you can just handle the situation however you want, but I'm essentially bound by the integrity that I choose to think that I embrace, right? I'm bound by the self-discipline and the things, all of these qualities that I would like to think that I embody and that I embrace. So yeah, it was a huge challenge, but I got through it, and I honestly, I don't know, sometimes I think of it as like, did I pass the test? Because I would almost feel like there's a part of me that feels like passing the test is to just essentially know the answer right away, so that you don't, you just know instinctively, for what it's worth, how to handle the situation, and then you're able to essentially in real time deal with whatever's going on in the most appropriate manner. So it's like, did I do that? No. But I did go through a process where I didn't badmouth somebody else. I didn't cry. Not that there's anything wrong with that. I didn't lash out. I didn't tell anybody off. I didn't drag it on any longer than it needed to be. I freak out. And now moving forward, it's like, okay, well, I won't, but I, so it's like moving forward, okay, but with the understanding that, so where I'm at right now, and I've thought about this a lot today, is it's like that, like it or not, I'm not sure if this is the right word, but it's like irreputable, or like like an amount of damage has been done to our relationship that there's just no fixing. Because when somebody kind of opens up and tells you, demonstrates how they feel about you, because behavior is the unspoken language. I mean, it's not just the words that were used; it's the behavior that accompanies that. I mean, and certainly to do with like the mentality that needs to be present. I mean, to do with this lack of trust and stuff like that. So it's like, yeah, it's challenging to move forward because of the damage that is done. Where it's like, wow, I don't mean that much to. It's like, wow, I guess I'm just a worker. I thought we were friends, but and it's challenging too, because I essentially need to just stomach all this. I need to let it go, because holding on to it isn't going to help anything, and I need to just bite my tongue, like just say nothing, and essentially pretend like nothing happened, which to me is like super, it's not the way. It's not, pretend like nothing happened is not it's not the way that I would like to handle the situation, but it seems like it's the most appropriate way. And because of my circumstances. And so, yeah, I need to just, move on, I guess. But, yeah, really, really challenging. So, and you never know. I mean, maybe we'll talk about it sometime, but I don't think so. So, yeah, I know that that's like a mouthful or an earful, right? But I don't make anybody watch these videos. And even though that's a lot, right? It's to do with a personal experience. I mean, I think, or I know that because of these other videos that I've made, namely the ones about relationships and love and stuff like that, that this is essentially, it's just another piece of a puzzle that is gearing towards this video that I've been talking about, that I actually already made the video about masculine energy, and it was a 3-part series, but I realized that it was just, I needed to refine it and take some notes so that I could just say the whole thing in one shot and be done with it, because it's a huge message. I mean, so yeah, this is just another piece of that. I hope, I don't know. There's nothing wrong with saying that. I hope that you enjoyed it. It certainly helps me being able to get this thing off my chest. I have expressed myself completely. Something Lao Tzu says is express yourself completely and then remain quiet. So that is how I am handling this situation. Yeah. Goodbye for now.